So this is Samsung's Galaxy Z Fold 3, and I've had this for well over a month now. And honestly, it's probably the most fun I've had using a phone in quite a long time. I feel like a little kid every day excited to use their new phone, use their new toy, and see how they can use it. Because every day I find a new way to use it or find a new way for it to excite me. But this is not to say it's a perfect phone. It's honestly far from it, but let's talk about it. So obviously it's a foldable phone, so that means there's going to be quite a few differences compared to like a normal phone. So it's going to be a little bit heavier, a little bit thicker compared to a normal phone, but it still feels really good in the hand after a while. You definitely get used to that weight. But again, very premium feeling, very premium looking phone. It just looks nice. The phone is matte for the most part, except for the hinge. It's got a glossy design, so you do get a few fingerprints on the hinge after a while, but not too bad. And I will say that the hinge is very nicely built. So like being able to unfold the phone and just close the phone without any jerking, any struggle to open it, it just feels nice. It's really well built. And when you have the phone open, the phone still feels really nice. The weight is really well distributed between like both sides of the phone, so it doesn't feel heavy on one side. If anything, the camera side is just a little bit heavier, and you really only notice that when you're in like flex mode. So when you're in flex mode and prop it down on a table or something, make sure you have that camera lens side down just because it won't fall back, or when you're trying to fold it back a little further, it just works just fine. So overall, it's a really well-built phone, and I really like it. So one of the annoying things about having an affordable phone is finding cases for it. Honestly, it's such a pain because there's some cases that have hinge protection, some that don't. So if you get the hinge protection, you run the risk of apparently scratching the hinge, or if you don't get hinge protection, you run the risk of just dropping it on the hinge, which I already did. So I already have some scuffs on my hinge. So honestly, I'd rather have scratches over scuffs, but that's personal opinion, I guess. But then even ones that have no hinge protection, they have their negatives as well, their cons. So one that they dig into your hand, depending on the case, some can dig into your palm. And then they also add some, just a case in general will add bulkiness or add some extra weight. It's just overall, there's lots of cons when trying to find a case for this phone. And the Ultra Hybrid case already broke on me. I was like, after the second drop, it fell and it snapped in half. Like it snapped the cover screen part. So yeah, finding a case is such a pain. Honestly, I kind of just want to rock it nude. I mostly do when I'm at home, but when I go out, I like to have a case just in case. But just in case, yeah. But yeah, cases is such a pain. So as far as ports and buttons, you have USB-C charging at the bottom of 25 watts. You have dual speakers, which are loud and crisp. You also have a power button that also has a finger sensor built into it, which is fast and reliable. And you can also turn a feature on where you don't have to tap or like click on the power button. You just have to like pretty much just touch it, and it automatically unlocks the phone. It could be awesome, but also annoying just because it might lead to accidental unlocks or accidentally hitting with the wrong finger too many times, and you end up locking your phone for 30 seconds. But overall, it's still a nice feature. And you can also use the finger sensor as like a gesture tool. Just like gesturing down or swiping down, you are able to bring down the notification panel and quick toggles, which is really nice because it's kind of annoying sometimes to have to reach the whole way up. But they also have that volume rocker on the same side as the power button. And as you know, you have two displays on here. They're both going to be crisp, bright, smooth, because 120 hertz. They're just great displays. The cover screen is a little bit different as far as the aspect ratio, just because it's a little bit tall and narrow, like I mentioned already. So honestly, when I'm using the cover screen, I'm using it to do the basic tasks. So like phone calls, text messages, and email, selecting a YouTube video, taking a photo. Honestly, if I'm doing one app at a time, I'm using the cover screen. And I actually found myself using the cover screen more often than I expected it to. I honestly thought I was just going to use it for like, honestly, probably, I didn't think I was going to use it at all, but I used it more often than I did. So I definitely appreciate the cover screen. And when you want to do more, you can easily just open up the phone and you get like a mini tablet here. So one of the few things I want to mention right away is that crease. Do you feel it? Do you notice it? Obviously, if you're running your finger over it, yeah, you're going to notice it. And the crease, you only notice when you're looking at an angle. If you're looking at it straight on, you're not going to notice it at all. And same with goes with like the under the screen camera there. You don't notice it unless you're looking for it and trying to find it. Because if you're looking at it straight on or doing stuff on the screen, you're not going to notice it at all. And as far as the feel, it does feel a little bit stickier compared to like the outer screen here, but honestly, it feels very close to glass. The only thing or only part of the screen that feels remotely like plastic is that like middle display part where the crease is, because obviously it feels like a crease and it feels like plastic. But otherwise, the edges, everything else, it feels pretty normal. It feels just fine. And the only time you ever see the screen like dig in a little bit is when you're putting pressure on it, which will only ever happen, at least I hope will only ever happen when you're using the S Pen. Because yeah, you can use the S Pen on the screen now, which I find to be pretty useful for the most part. I don't carry it around 24/7 with me. I just have it on my desk, and if I want to use it, I can. So basically, all I do with it is just either take a quick note or mainly use it for like selecting a screenshot. So it makes it easy to select a screenshot. And also, if I need to pinpoint my accuracy of like where I want to touch stuff, so I just use that and just use it for scrolling around and clicking on stuff. But otherwise, not a heavy user on the S Pen on here. I much prefer using like my tablet for taking notes. If I'm using a big screen, I kind of feel more comfortable just using it on my tablet. So, and since I don't carry the pen around with me, I'm not going to use it outside of home. So, yeah, the under display though, it's still really nice. And thanks to the Snapdragon 888, 12 gigabytes of internal RAM, 4 gigabytes of virtual RAM, and 256 gigabytes of storage, you're getting a really nice performing phone here. Occasionally, I will say you do get some lag. Some apps sometimes just crash on me for some reason. I don't know if it's like the phone itself or if it's the app being dumb, but like when I'm trying to multitask, if an app isn't optimized for it, sometimes it'll just crash on me. Or when I'm multitasking, one example was on the cover screen using Maps and using Spotify. For some reason, it was being slow and it was being a bitch trying to switch to Spotify so I can switch a song. But yeah, overall, it's still decently performing. I won't say it happens all the time, it happens occasionally. As far as like the software, Samsung did a pretty good job with One UI, trying to optimize it to take advantage of the big screen versus just having a blown out version of its apps. Some apps are just blown out versions of it, but some of them do take advantage of the big screen. So like messages, camera, the settings itself, like they're all taking advantage of the big screen. So it's just like different sides do different things. And then you also have a different way of setting up your phone. So with the new form factor, you have the cover screen and the inner screen. You have the option of mirroring them so that whatever changes you do will change on both of them. Personally, I'm not a big fan of it, so I prefer having one setup on the cover screen and then another setup on the inner screen. The cover screen setup is tailored towards like one-handed use, so like apps that I would typically use one at a time on the cover screen, I'll have there. Same with the widgets are set up that way. And on the inner screen, I have the apps that I will likely use when trying to multitask or that look better when using it on the big screen. And same with the widgets, I try to customize it so that it makes sense how they're tailored for that way. But add some nice customization to it. You can also do some like good luck stuff. So I have the icons switched over from the Play Store from the Delta. I think they're called Delta. Yeah, so I use the theme park module for that. And I also changed it so that you don't see the icon labels. So it's just like the icon itself. You use the home op for that. So just different features that you can customize on here. And with One UI on the big screen, it does a good job being able to do other stuff too. So one of those being multitasking. One UI is so well designed for multitasking. Starting out with that edge bar, you can have it there or you can just have it pinned so that you can easily drag and drop pretty much any app that you want. Even if it's not optimized by a developer to be used in multitasking, you can force it because Samsung does that in the Labs feature. Just force all apps to be able to use in multitasking. So some of my combos include YouTube and Reddit, and then having all my bank account apps just open up at once. It's really nice. So like I said, YouTube, another app, whether it be an app on the side or flip it horizontally and have YouTube playing kind of full screen at the top, and then another app playing horizontally at the bottom. So like a game, I can play Geometry Dash, COD Mobile, whatever I want to do, I can do it. And it's just kind of bizarre sometimes. Sometimes you think, why would I want to do this? But you just don't know until you have it. So it's nice to be able to multitask on there. So since the phone's affordable, you have the ability to use flex mode. And flex mode basically allows you to fold your phone at a certain angle and then prop it up kind of, and then have the software take advantage of you propping it up like that. So YouTube, the camera app, are really well optimized for this, which means that you can watch a video on full screen at the top while browsing the comments at the bottom, or the camera, be able to prop it up and take a photo and then preview whatever you take a shot of on the bottom part. So like I said, most apps aren't going to be optimized for this, so you have to go into the Labs feature and then force them to go into flex mode. Then it goes into like this default flex mode. So basically what that means is that you'll have like these default settings for the phone, and then you have whatever app you forced into at the top screen. I did this with Peacock just so I'm able to quickly switch the phone to flex mode and prop my phone up so I could watch a video when I don't have a kickstand around me. So although you can multitask and go into flex mode, you can also simply use one app at a time in an inner display. Some apps look better than others, and then some apps just I wouldn't recommend running on full screen. So one of the apps that I use is obviously YouTube. YouTube looks pretty good when using it full screen. It's gonna have black bars depending on the aspect ratio, but it's still a great watching experience. I usually do this when I'm in the shower, just prop it up in the corner and watch a video on full screen. Shout out to the IPX rating of water resistance. It's really nice to have. But yeah, being able to watch a video on full screen is nice. There's some apps, like I said, that don't look as great. So like Instagram, if you have it in full screen mode, you kind of have a huge post and you can't even see the caption sometimes, which is kind of annoying. So I went back to its original IPS or original aspect ratio, which was 16:9. I think it looks a little bit better that way. And even though I do get some bars on the side, I'd rather use it that way if I'm gonna use it one app at a time, just because I don't like seeing the posts being huge. Same thing goes for like Facebook. I just don't like that. And in Snapchat, depending on which aspect ratio you're using at Snapchat with, it's gonna be how your Snapchat or your snap is sent. So if you're on the cover screen, your snaps are gonna be tall and narrow. If you're on the inner display full screen, your snaps are gonna be full screen size. And if you're setting it to 16:9, which is how I have it now, it's gonna be a 16:9 aspect ratio, which is one of my dislikes, just because Snapchat, I hated that I have to go into 16:9 aspect ratio to send my snaps to make them look normal. Because if I'm on the cover screen and I want to send a snap, it's gonna be tall and narrow, like I said. So I wish I could force it to be 16:9, so I have to use Snapchat on full screen on my big display just so that I can send a normal snap. I kind of find it annoying, but it's something I hope that Snapchat can optimize. But it all depends on them. Other apps like Clash Royale, although they are functioning perfectly fine on full screen mode, I noticed that when you're in a game, in a match, the arena is the background. So like instead of having black bars, they just added some background of the arena. So you're really not getting a huge difference, not making a major difference having an inner display as your full screen here for this app. So yeah, that's what most apps do. Some apps are just like enlarging the background or enlarging as much as they can to make it look like it's taking advantage of the full screen, but they're not really. So yeah, as far as like using full screen apps one at a time, it depends on the app. Again, you can force all apps to go into this full screen mode, but depending on the app, it might not look or function as well as you think. And continuing here with the aspect ratio, when going from the cover screen to the full screen, there's some apps that do easily seamlessly switch from the cover screen display to the inner display without no interruption. And then there's some that you have to reload once you open it up in the big display. So there's a little like enlarge button on the corner, and you have to hit that, or else it'll just stay in this like narrow aspect ratio from the cover screen. So like Snapchat, another one that always happens, like you have to enlarge it to go back into that aspect ratio that you have set for the inner display. So in my case, it's 16:9. Clash Royale was one of the games that I noticed. So I was playing a game on the cover screen. I decided, let's try it out in the big screen. So I opened it up, and it was stuck on that narrow aspect ratio. So if I wanted to go into full screen, I had to reload the app. So that could be a hit or miss for some people, just because it could lead to some interruptions. So it could be very concerning for like a game, or just the annoyance of having to reload the app. So, and it's not like it takes forever to reload, it's just a quick reload. But even then, it's just something that's not as intuitive as I wish it was. Overall though, day-to-day performance, day-to-day usage, it's pretty good. Performance, you're gonna get great performance. Like I said already, occasional hiccups and lag, but no big deal. It's just a lot of the software stuff that has to be fixed. And a lot of it comes down to developers. So hopefully developers can go and update their apps so that they work fine on bigger screens, or be able to optimize it to work better on a bigger screen, or into flex mode, or into multitasking mode. But I know it's probably a lot of work, so just fingers crossed that someday most of the apps that I use can be better designed and better implemented into this whole new form factor of foldable phones. I know it's going to take time, but I'm hoping it happens. But otherwise, day-to-day usage, I'm enjoying the phone. So as far as camera quality, you're getting good cameras here, honestly. So they kind of remind me of like a Samsung S10 Plus camera, just a little bit better quality. So you got that ultra wide, that wide, and then this telephoto. I do wish the telephoto was a little bit better as far as zooming. You only get a max of 10x zoom. So I was hoping for like 30x zoom, kind of like the S21, but you're capped at 10x, which kind of is a bummer because I wish you could zoom in a little bit more. But otherwise, still great photos. You also have the ability to like use like different modes. So like flex mode, you can just prop your phone up and use it as like a little built-in kickstand to take photos. You can use the back cameras to take a selfie. You can preview your shots, so like have the cover screen preview the shot or the video that you're filming. Like it's pretty cool. You have a lot of different features here that you wouldn't have on a normal phone. Now, where it does suck is when you're using the cameras for like Snapchat. I'm sure it might be the same on Instagram, but on Snapchat, the camera quality looks like ass Photos look okay, but videos, it's just garbage, man. It's just garbage. So like compared to the actual footage of my camera versus the Snapchat camera, it just looks so bad. It just looks so bad. I think this might be just a Android and Snapchat thing versus just like Samsung and Snapchat thing, but I'm not entirely sure. But yeah, I just wish it was a little bit better, but what can I say? Overall, camera quality on the camera app is good. So now battery life. Now obviously battery life depends on the usage, but for me, I was getting 3 to 4 hours screen on time with 10 to 12 like on the battery. So if I made it the whole day, I was making it the day with like little battery life. And that's with me probably not even using the phone as much throughout the day. But when I'm using it all the time, I'm gonna make it to like 3, maybe even 5 o'clock if I'm pushing it. Then I have to charge again. So yeah, battery life I wouldn't say is the greatest. So if you're not around charge all the time, I would definitely recommend getting like a battery pack to make sure you don't run out of juice. And when you are charging, you have 25 watts of charging, which takes roughly 1 hour and 20 minutes. And then you also have wireless charging. Now for wireless charging, I only ever use that when I'm overnight, and I don't use super fast wireless charging. So I just use standard wireless charging. So it takes like 4 hours to 4 hours and 30 minutes maybe. But yeah, battery life, not the greatest, but you know, it's doable. It can definitely last you a work day. But if your usage is heavy, then it might not. So yeah, just something to keep in mind. So at the end of the day, would I recommend the Z Fold 3? Really depends. Honestly, I hate to say that, but it really depends on your use case. So if you're gonna be a foldable multitasking beast, I would recommend this. But if you just want a really good phone, I wouldn't recommend it just because this is expensive, and you're probably better off getting like an S21 Ultra, even an iPhone 13 Pro Max or something like that, or maybe even the Google Pixel 6 Pro coming out later this month, I think. So yeah, for a phone, I would stay away from this. But if you're looking for something new, a form factor that's brand new, affordable phone, this is my first foldable phone, and I don't know if I can go back to regular phone. I don't know yet. I like it. I really am enjoying it. But like I said, a lot of compromises that you have to make. So yeah, that's it. Hope you guys enjoyed.